here. I want to compare per position. Niners versus Eagles. Defense versus offense. And by the way, my top 10 NFL teams, quarterbacks, MVP race. We'll look at that and also week 13. Would we agree that these are the two best rosters in the National Football League going into Sunday? Do we agree? These are the two best rosters in the National Football League. I think they are. Okay? I think they are. I'd be curious to see their record this season if you remove Jake Elliott from the equation. He's a great kicker. Okay? He's a great kicker. You got two of the best rosters in the league. I think the best. And I'm going to start with the offenses. 49ers versus the Eagles. And let's start at quarterback. Brock Purdy versus Jalen Hurts. Let's ask some questions fairly here. Is Brock Purdy even the best player in his offensive huddle? No. No. Is Jalen Hurts? He's the most important. Is he better than Lane and Kelsey and AJ? He's in the discussion. Let's just start there when it comes to how you look at him in the pecking order of the offensive guys. Like, that offense doesn't roll without him. We saw a year ago 2 other quarterbacks take that offense, manipulated a little bit by Kyle Shanahan, and they won a ton of games. Garoppolo, Trey Lance, they still won. You see, here's the difference, in my opinion, between San Francisco and Philadelphia. That offense is Kyle Shanahan, not Brock Purdy. The offense in Philly is Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts alone. Do we agree on that? It is more about Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco than it is about Brock Purdy in San Francisco. So only Purdy and Lamar can have stacked teams. You're taking this out of context, Ryan. You completely took it out of context. I think what Hurts is doing, he's the MVP. Others are not going to look at it like that. Okay? Don't get bent. I'm not saying that. Kyle Shanahan is the face of the 49er offense. Jalen Hurts is the face of the Eagle offense. Nobody can run that. You got a guy who's in Indianapolis right now who's playing playoff football in Gardner Minshew. He couldn't run it. Okay? So right there, that dynamic, to me, Kyle Shanahan calls plays he feels that the game goes. They call plays for Jalen Hurts, and there's more control in San Francisco over Purdy than there is with Hurts. What am I saying? Jalen's got more freedom to do what he wants with his offense than Purdy does. Fair? I'd say the 49ers are every bit as talented, more on defense, but I believe they're more of a finesse team. I don't believe that nasty. They're a finesse team. I do not. They're not a finesse team. There's nothing finesse about that. Why? Because of McCaffrey? I'm talking about the media MB. Okay, gotcha, Ryan. I got you. Thank you, brother. I think Jalen has more autonomy than Brock Purdy does. I think there's more control of Brock Purdy. What does that mean? That's why comebacks are more proficient. And get this, that's why Purdy can't deal when pieces of the puzzle are not on the board. Jalen can. Because he, you know why? He adapts. He overcomes. Okay? That's why he keeps his composure. He's not on a leash. Brock Purdy's on a leash. Dominique, what's up? Thanks for coming aboard. Do you agree? He's more on a leash than what Hurts is. That's Jalen's offense. That's Kyle Shanahan's offense. So why is that important? Well, 2 minutes? 2 minutes, Kyle Shanahan has to win that game with player performance. 2 minutes left in the game, Jalen Hurts has to win a ball game with his mind, his field presence, and his leadership. You're developing more of a leader in Hurts in a game, in a Jalen Hurts offensive manager of his own offense. You're developing Hurts better in Philly than you are Purdy in San Francisco. And that's why you see Jalen win games when he sucks. Purdy can't do that. He can't lead you in a comeback against Cleveland and a Temple quarterback. He can't, because he's not seeing the game. Kyle Shanahan sees the game. Hurts is so far ahead of Purdy as a field manager and as a field presence. It's night and day. It's really not close. Advantage, Philly. There's nothing you can explain to me that Brock Purdy is in a 2-minute drill going to audible out of a play that Kyle Shanahan runs for him. Hurts will, or he'll take off. It's totally Jalen Hurts. It's not close. Just in field presence. Then you add the intangibles and all that other stuff. Brock Purdy's slowly being brought along. Jalen Hurts is skyrocketing in his development. That's how I see it. Christian McCaffrey versus DeAndre Swift. Christian McCaffrey's having an MVP season. Swift has been an upgrade. He's been an upgrade in what they want to do. He fits more with what they want to do. What's up, Chad? Thanks for coming aboard. He fits with what they want, and he's fitting in. By the way, I think he's really benefited coming out of the bye. But McCaffrey is just electric. He's an MVP candidate, as I said. He's got great hands. He's tougher than you think. Injury prone. But everything you want in the back, and this is why Howie was going to make a move for him, but Howie didn't want to give up the King's ransom and the treasure chest that San Francisco did. Howie made a call to Carolina. He wanted him last year. And that's why they went and got basically DeAndre Swift, because he kind of resembles what McCaffrey does. McCaffrey's the golden goose Howie wanted. So he landed on Swift. 4th rounder, not a lot. He's totally outlived that 4th round pick. I mean, he's going to make a ton of money in the offseason. It'd be interesting to see what the Eagles do. I don't think you're going to be able to bring him back because there's going to be a lot of suitors for him. I'd like to see him in Buffalo, someplace like that, maybe Kansas City, because he's going to have a giant market. And he's a free agent at the end of this year. And Eagles don't pay at that position. That's just what you do. A win on the tush push, NFL will ban it next day. Hey, if they win the Super Bowl on the tush push, they'll ban it the next day. Okay? Andreas, that's probably true. No. Hey, Devin, I don't think Swift is that far behind either. But McCaffrey's he's too much. Look across the board. Personally, I think he's the best player in that huddle. Advantage San Francisco. But not by a bunch. Brandon Ayuk versus Devontae Smith. It's close. Ayuk has, without a doubt, improved his game. But what Devontae did in that Bills shit weather, tough football game, must-win Bills, he played so tough in that game. I think he runs by a smidge better routes, Devontae. I think he's got, by a smidge, better hands. James Cook is good in Buffalo. They just need some coaches. That's probably too dirty, D. It's not Smitty all day, but I'm going with Smitty. And I'm going to take Devontae Smith over Ayuk. Ayuk's a great player. Look how close this is. Advantage. Philly. Deebo Samuel versus A.J. Brown. This is a hard one to evaluate. Who's the better receiver? A.J. Who does more for the offense? Deebo. It's like basically Deebo is the wide receiver version of Jalen Hurts. How do you quantify his value on the offense on moving the chains versus a guy who's just one-dimensional in A.J. Brown? He's a receiver. Is he exceptional? Absolutely. Is he the best in the game this year? I'd take him over Tyreek. I would. But who's value to the offense and moving the sticks? And Keon's like, you're reaching. Well, there's a reason he's making $20 million, guy. It's not because he's a suck-ass guy out there. He's making enormous money because of value he brings to the offense. AJ is, without a doubt, having a dominant season. Advantage? Philly. The number 3 receiver, Jennings and Julio Jones. San Francisco gets the advantage in the 3 hole here. Jennings is pretty good. Zacchaeus, too, brings that thing close. Deebo's a wide receiver that could be a running back. McCaffrey is a running back that could be a receiver. That's why it's hard to evaluate San Francisco's personnel. Okay? Because they're asked to do more. 3rd wide receiver goes to San Francisco. Tight end. George Kittle's better than Dallas Goedert. He's a better player. Plus, Goddard's coming off injury. And he's injury prone. Kittle's a better player. Kittle's a better blocker. Kittle blocks in the run. They're very similar. I think Kittle's got better hands. Advantage, San Francisco. Left tackle, Trent Williams, Jordan Mailata. You know I love Mailata. He's no Trent Williams. Trent Williams is going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Advantage, San Francisco. Left guard, Aaron Banks versus Landon Dickerson. Landon Dickerson, in my opinion, is emerging as one of the best left guards in the National Football League. I'm a huge fan of the guy. And I'm going Landon Dickerson. Advantage, Philly. Center, Brendel, Jack Brendel. Heck of a player. No Jason Kelsey. Advantage, Philly. Right guard, Spencer Buford versus Cam Jurgens. Advantage, San Francisco. Right tackle, Colton McKivitz versus Lane. Not a conversation. Advantage, Philly. So you add it up, 6 for Philly, 5 for San Francisco. And the most notable, the quarterback is on the San Francisco side. Now, play calling. Kyle Shanahan versus Brian Johnson. It's not close. Kyle Shanahan. And you guys will go like this. Well, he blew a Super Bowl. And they lost another Super Bowl with him. Yeah, I know. Before you answer that and add something else in, you got either too many mouths in the room or too much inconsistency in your play calling. You got to pick one. Okay? You got to pick one. And let's take a look at this. What are they right now? Are they 7-3? What were they last year? 13-3 or 13-4? They're 20-7 in the last 2 years also. They're not horrible. And I think Purdy's lost 1 ball game. Oh, no, 2 ball games in the regular season. Okay? Their corners are just dudes. Ours haven't played great, but you're 27th in pass defense. Before you start crowing and we get over there, you're one of the worst pass defenses in the National Football League. And you're going to take credit and try to somehow compromise the fact that you're one of the worst pass defenses in the National Football League and the worst on third down? I mean, you're like 30th in giving up third downs. Before you start barking about your corners, I'd hang in there. Did you just say Purdy's better than Hurts? I'm not answering that. Here is the defensive side. This is interesting. There's a lot of talent that is going to be on the field Sunday. What are we ranked in points scored? I don't know. I know teams. I know this. Teams right now, they love throwing the ball against you. Everyone has a field day on the Eagle secondary. Everyone. Left defensive end, Chase Young versus Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham had a good game. He's picked it up a bit. Chase Young has been spectacular since he's gotten to San Francisco. This may have been the toughest one because I don't think Brandon Graham has outplayed Chase Young this year. And I'm not just doing it for the Bills game. Okay? Left defensive end, advantage San Francisco, Chase Young. Left defensive tackle, Eric Armstead versus Jordan Davis. I never thought I'd say this. Jordan Davis, Philly. How about this one coming up here? Javon Hargrave versus Jalen Carter. Hargraves had a great season. By the way, he's playing better against the run. Why? Because of the guy behind him. Right defensive tackle, Javon Hargrave versus Jalen Carter. I got Jalen Carter. Advantage Philly. Nick Bosa, Josh Sweat, right DE. As good as Josh Sweat is, Nick Bosa all day. Advantage San Francisco. The will, Dre Greenlaw versus Ellis or Cunningham. Greenlaw. Advantage San Francisco. The Mike. Best in the game. Fred Warner. Now, in last year's NFC Championship game, Jalen Hurts made that guy look slow. But Fred Warner's the best Mike linebacker in pro football. Advantage San Francisco. Strong side linebacker, Orrin Banks versus Hassan Reddick. Advantage Philadelphia. Left corner, Ward versus Bradbury. San Francisco's great in pass defense. The Eagles are horrible. And you want me to give the advantage to Bradbury? Why would I give the advantage to Bradbury when San Francisco is spectacular in pass defense? Why? Because you're paying him? Why would I do that? Why would I do that? That's great, Isaiah. I'm talking about your corners now. And I'm not comparing with the Panthers. I'm comparing right now the game you're playing. Okay? I do think the advantage is Bradbury. I think the scheme he's in and the safeties are killing him and the linebackers are killing him. I think those corners are on an island this year. And I think they've played as well as they can. The linebackers are not good enough and your safeties aren't good enough. And that's why those two corners don't look like they did a year ago. I would still take him, Bradbury, over Ward. With good quarterback. Winners play yet. I would still take Bradbury. Advantage, Philly. Strong safety, Brown versus Kevin Byard. This is tough because Byard came on and had a great game against. I thought he played great against the Bills. A couple times, Josh Allen's going to get his, dude. He is. But do I look at Brown, Jari Brown versus Kevin Byard and go, Jari Brown is better? No. Advantage, Philly. Another factor is that our secondary has been revolving door this season. Haven't had a consistent lineup all year. That's why Gibson versus Blankenship. Gibson all day. He's a better free safety than Reed Blankenship. Advantage, San Francisco. Right cornerback. Lenore versus Slay. Lenore versus Slay. You can't just dismiss the fact that San Francisco's playing so well in the secondary, but that's because their front seven is playing so well. And it's such an advantage when your front seven's playing like that. You don't have a front seven in Philly. You got a front four. Your linebackers kind of help you, but not a lot. Okay? Yeah, well, what's his name? Look, somebody goes, Sills is faking that. This is tough. San Francisco is ranked. They're one of the best teams in pass defense. You're not. And you want to get extra credit for the name on the back of the jersey? Where do you come up with that? That's not looking at this right. You suck at giving third downs up. You suck at giving up percentages on completion percentage. You suck on the amount of yards quarterbacks get on you. And yet you think you're better than San Francisco secondary. How? Where do you think that? Where is the facts to that? Still, I go Slay. Advantage, Philly. So, 6 for Philly, 5 for San Francisco. Think about that. The 49ers have 10 areas on offensive defense where they have the advantage, and Philadelphia has 12. That's why this game is close. That's why this game is going to be a great football game. Okay? It is. And you have to add the fatigue factor. Now, here's what you do. You turn around and you say this now. Swift, AJ, Devontae, Julio Jones, Dallas Goedert. Who's got a better pass receiving core? McCaffrey, Samuel, Ayuk, Jennings, and Kittle. Who's got the better pass receiving core? You're right. I think it's San Francisco. Back's better. And see, the reason why I think it's better, because they do more. Samuel's a running back. He's on jet sweeps. He's a receiver. Same as McCaffrey. You could interchange those guys. I'll take the San Francisco 49ers pass receiving guys over the Eagles. Offensive line. All you guys kept telling me Cam Jurgens is some sort of superstar. He's not. Lane's hurt. We'll see what kind of health he has. He'll need it. Still, I would take Philly because of Kelsey, Mulata, Dickerson, the entire left side. But your entire right side is in question. Lane's health, Jurgens' play, and is Goddard playing? I mean, Cam Jurgens has not impressed me. Actually, I saw one guy, Opeta, play against Aaron Donald. He was great. Other than that, they've been marginal. Shit, man. The Buffalo Bills were putting – the Chiefs and the Bills were putting massive pressure. And when they lined Chris Jones up on him, he destroyed him. Now, that's the best guy in the sport. So you got to be fair there. Quarterback, it's Hurts. That's not a debate. Get this. They're going to try to debate that this week. Who's the better quarterback? Don't bite on it. It's not a debate. Okay? Nasty said Jurgens is closer to good than bad. That's not good enough. That's not good enough when you're lining up over Javon Hargrave. That's not going to be good enough. Good doesn't get it done when you're talking about one of the best units in the league. You say whatever you want. Front four. Who has the best front four? Young, Armstead, Hargrave, Boza. Sweat, Carter, Davis, Graham. It has to be the two best defensive fronts in the NFL. I mean it. It has to be the two best defensive fronts. I would say that San Francisco's more dominant on the perimeter at the end position, and the Eagles are more dominant inside. But it's not by a lot because Armstead and Hargrave are outstanding themselves. And the last 2 weeks, those two defensive tackles have been getting run on. You've been giving up 170 yards in rushing offense the last 2 weeks. That's a factor. Okay? That's a factor. Whew. That's close, man. You got the reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year on the line. Young's playing like he did his rookie year. Hargrave's having a great season, but Jordan Davis and Carter are dominating inside. Sweat's awful good and underrated. Brandon Graham, I think he's had an okay year. I wouldn't write home about it. Man, I don't like doing pushes because you got to have an opinion. Whew. You guys haven't been getting home a lot. Man. Who would you take? I haven't got to the outside linebackers yet. I'm biased because of the two DTs. I'm going to take the Eagles. I'm going to take the Eagles by a small margin. The 49ers are better on the edges, and you're better in the middle, but Sweat's awful good. Sweat's better than Chase. And you can line up sometimes when you go to that five front, Reddick over at one of the ends. So it kind of, they move that around a lot. So I'm going to go Eagles. Linebacking core, Reddick is the only thing that keeps it kind of Banks, Warner, Greenlaw versus Ellis, Cunningham, Morrow, and Reddick. It's San Francisco. Because Reddick is not better than Fred Warner. Home field benefits the D. Does. Here's the problem that you're going to get here with this conversation. You don't have a better secondary as a unit than San Francisco does. But it's funny that you have the majority of the matchups with player personnel back there. The numbers just don't dictate it. Now, I will say this to your side of the conversation and to your, remember something here. Look at the quarterbacks you've played versus who San Francisco's played. Okay? High-powered, big number, big score, big wide receiver numbers. So don't you think your numbers are going to be a little higher? than versus guys that aren't in the Josh Allen, Tua, Dak, Patrick Mahomes, even Sam Howell. I mean, who are some of the name me the quarterbacks that San Francisco has had to deal with? When you deal with Josh Allen, and Josh Allen puts up 400 yards in offense, is that uncommon? No. Is he going to do that against good units? Yes.